Hello and welcome to Whisky Resource. My name is Mark. Today is review number 41. It is the 16th of May, which is the third Saturday in May, so it's World Whisky Day. If you're not aware of World Whisky Day, if you pop along to the website worldwhiskyday.com, there's information on there. Didn't seem too long ago we had International Whisky Day. This is a completely different affair, although it's the same. It's celebrating whisky. So I did record this video not long ago, but when I reviewed it back I wasn't too happy with it, so I'm doing it again. So regardless of whether this one's any good or not, it's going to have to get published. So World Whisky Day, I thought I'd do an international single malt. This is going to be the second furthest in distance whisky from our home. So I did the Yamazaki Distillers Reserve not too long ago, so you can go check that video out. So that's the furthest whisky from home I've tasted. Today I'm going to be doing an American single malt whisky. I'm going to be doing the Westland American Oak. This is, I purchased this from Drinks by the Dram via Master of Malt just recently because I was interested in trying some American single malts. So Westland, it's based out of Seattle in the state of Washington on the American West Coast. That's the Pacific Coast. Approximately lies, I think it's about 4,600, 4,500 miles from here, compared to the Japanese whiskey, which is about 5,500 miles from here. If you go to the Westland website, which is westlanddistillery.com, they list 3 whiskies that they do. So they do this one, which is the American Oak. I'll tell you a bit more about that in a second. They do a sherry oak, and they do a peated version of this whisky. The sherry oak and the peated are slightly more expensive. This particular bottle, if you buy the full 700ml bottle that they sell on Master of Malt and on the Whisky Exchange, you'd be looking to pay £64.96. Bottled to 46% ABV. It is non-chill filtered. It is natural colour. It is, according to Westland Distillery website, aged up to 36 months. So 3 years, so it's a particularly young whisky. It has a value score of 88.35, so that's helped along by the fact that it hits kind of what we look for in a single malt whisky, non-chill filter, natural colour, and a 46% ABV. So 88.35 is a value score. Now, for anybody that's interested in trying the other 2 whiskies that Westland provide, if you go to Master of Malt, I'm not sure about the Whisky Exchange, I haven't actually checked them, but Master of Malt, they do the core range collection of 3 200ml bottles. That costs £74.95, so you get the peated, you get the sherry wood, and you'll get the American Oak. You can pick up the American Oak as a 200ml bottle if you look around as well, which isn't too bad. Now, as I say, I've just done a review of this, so the bottle's already been opened, but I'm going to discard that previous review and go with this one, hopefully. So I'm just going to crack on in, and I'm not going to waffle as much as the previous video. It is, if you visit the website, it's made up of a mash bill of 5 different barleys. So you've got the Washington Select Pale Malt, you've got the Munich Malt, Extra Special Malt, Pale Chocolate Malt, and Brown Malt. So there's 5 different barley malts going at this. They mature it in 3 different casks. They mature it in a Cooper's Select New American Oak, a Cooper's Reserve New American Oak, and a First Fill Ex Bourbon. So I'm guessing Cooper's Select and Cooper's Reserve refers to the Cooper Bourbon. I may be wrong. Have to look a bit more into that if that's the case. But First Fill Ex Bourbon casks. It uses a Belgian brewer's yeast, has a fermentation time of 96 to 144 hours, and it's won various awards. I've seen that this particular malt, this single malt, is quite popular amongst those people who try American single malts. I haven't tried any, so this is going to be an interesting one. However, I have tasted it because previous review, so I'm just going to go ahead straight on it. I'll put it on. 46% ABV. So what I can tell you straight away is the initial nose on it was bourbon, and I'm still getting that bourbon nose. However, everything changed in the taste. My previous quick review that I did, it wasn't until I actually had a little bit of Jim Beam White Label afterwards that I realised that actually the taste is different to a bourbon. So, on the palate. Okay, it has that bourbonness of oak and vanilla, a little bit of citrus fruit, but it's got this really nice bitterness to it, which is, for me, it's a combination of chocolate and coffee. It's kind of a mockery-ness to it, but the fact it's also creamy. It's also a really creamy, nice texture. It's creamy. It's, in my first review, I kind of dissed it a bit in terms of I didn't give it as much credit as I should have done. It wasn't until I tasted a bourbon that actually this is a category of its own right for American whiskey. You do get that coffeeness on the nose once you've tasted it. It's not a strong coffee. It's a creamy coffee. Maybe like a chilled frappuccino type of like a chilled latte almost, creaminess but coffee, but it's got the bitterness of a nice dark chocolate. It's way nicer than bourbon. It's not the same as a Scotch single malt. Japanese single malt is quite close to Scotch single malts, and Welsh and English single malts are quite similar to some of the Highland styles of single malt. This is not. It's different. It's quite unique. It's got cherries. I'm starting to pick up. It's quite dark fruit in there. It's like, it is like a, it has elements of bourbon, but has these lovely, it's hard to describe. Oak meets fruit, but bitter. Wood, just a wood note running through it. It's quite drying on the finish, and it's that drying bitterness that you end with. When I say drying, I mean you want to have a glass of water dry. Talk about water. I'm going to pop a little bit in now. Previously, the water aspect of it, it brought out a bit more of the bourbon. Because I can imagine this is going to be rich in oil, and it's those oils which really, for a 3-year-old aged whiskey, are going to be oak and vanilla from the typical American oak influence. Now I'm getting rose water. It's quite subtle, but it's there. It is lovely. I don't think I would buy a full bottle. I wouldn't buy the 700ml bottle. Not for £64 and 95 pence. I wouldn't. The smaller 200ml bottle, you can pick it up for around £24, £25, something like that. for the 200ml bottle. I would probably pick up one of them, but I would buy it for a tasting evening to share. I don't think I'd pick the bottle up often to try it. But it's so different to anything that I've had so far. And as if I was to describe the taste as being nice or not, it sits slam bang in the middle. It's got characteristics that are quite off-putting, but it's got characteristics which are quite lovely. But it's unique, and it's that uniqueness that actually makes it a worthy contender as a nice dram. It's a talking point whiskey, this one. And if this is what American single malts are like, it'd be interesting to try some older aged malts. Now, Seattle being up in the north western part of the United States, it doesn't get the intense heat that somewhere like Texas or Kentucky might get, where they can age whiskies really, really quickly in their oak. Typically, they tend to be short aged whiskies. This is quite dark for a 3-year-old whiskey. It could be younger, but 23-year-old whiskey on their website. It's quite dark, and for those temperatures that they get up there, in fact, it's quite a damp, wet environment, I believe, up in the Seattle region of Washington. It's quite amazing that they get the colours they do. But I'd like to try an older aged whiskey. It'd be interesting to know what those particular Cooper's American oak casks are. So if anybody knows, comment below. Tell us what they are. I would say if you can get yourself on to Master of Malt and pick up one of these miniatures, I think you're probably looking at about £5 for it. I can't remember exactly how much I paid, but I would certainly give it an advisory to try, because it is different, it is unique. It's a talking point whiskey. So my score, I'm actually changing it from what I previously rated it. I'm going to rate it an 87 because I think it's worthy of it. It's nicer than the Jim Beam White Label, which I reviewed, and it deserves a better score than that. And I think 87 is a worthy score because it is unique, and that's why it gets the score it gets. Well, thank you very much. Enjoy World Whisky Day and your drams, and I'll be back for my next video, which will be Wednesday. Cheers.